My friends, I am Mike Mohammed, and today I'm going to give you my first viewing review of Tenet. And the reason I call this the first viewing review is because, honestly speaking, let me just preface this by saying that Christopher Nolan's Tenet is like absolutely the most complicated film I've ever seen in my life. At least for me. I don't know, like maybe there's something more complicated out there. I personally really doubt it. I think this is probably going to take the cake for like the most convoluted, the most complicated fucking plot ever in a film. Like, ever. Oh man, where do I even start? Like, all I could say is, first of all, 10 out of 10. First of all, absolute fucking Kino. First of all, literally in the top 10 best films I've ever watched in my life. I'm thinking maybe like top 5 best films I've ever watched in my friggin' life. And honestly, I feel like I understood maybe 70% what happened. And the only reason I understood 70% what happened is because I did actually, before I watched this movie, I like read a lot of stuff about the spoilers, a lot of the plot synopsis and stuff. And the thing is, man, like even after I read the plot synopsis, I still didn't get it. It was still so hard to understand from reading a plot synopsis. And then finally seeing the film, more of the gears clicked in my mind, but like I'm gonna need to see this film like two, three, four, five more times to even really fully grasp how like all the interlocking pieces work in this film because I don't know how to explain it. On your first viewing, you may watch it and be like, this doesn't fully make sense. But watch it like a few more times. Like, watch it a couple more times. It does make sense within the logic of the film. It's just. It's just. Oh my god. Like, I. On the plot of the film and on the technical spectacle of what this film is, just straight 10 out of 10. Like, this is one of the most technically superb films ever made. Like there are things that occur in this film that you can say with almost definite certainty have never even been fucking remotely attempted in any other film ever. Like this was a groundbreaking film. Like there's this whole like reverse choreography, reverse stunts, reverse explosions, reverse everything in this film is like there is absolutely nothing like this I've ever seen in any film, like anything sort of similar. Holy fuck. I went into the theater high as fuck. I did weed edibles, I did like gummies, and I smoked some weed. I was a little bit too high to be honest on my first viewing. And then on top of it, the audio is fucking overwhelming in this film. So I'm already like too high in the theater, and then the audio is like fucked. Like the audio, the bass is like extreme. Yeah, like at certain times the soundtrack was almost overwhelmingly like oppressive. Like I don't. It worked well with the film, but there are certain moments, like very tense moments in the film, where it's like the soundtrack is very abrasive, which works. But I can understand how to some people it might just give them a headache, especially if you go into. Do not go to see Tenet with any kind of headache, any kind of migraine. If you have a headache, see if you can refund your tickets and go see the movie another time because you're gonna want to watch this shit with like a clear mind because by the end of it, your mind is gonna be fucked. You're gonna walk out of that theater, your brain's gonna be working in reverse, man. Like, oh man, what a fucking movie! What a fucking experience, man. Like, I'll probably end up seeing it again one or two more times in theaters. Personally, I'm looking forward to a 4K rip just to be comfortable as fuck at home watching this movie, man. Oh fuck, man. I holy shit. Like, okay, let me just say some criticisms, some things I thought were great. I'll say the weakest part of the film, in my opinion, is definitely Kenneth Branagh's character. In my opinion, a truly compelling villain or antagonist should be the type of character that while you may not agree with what they're doing, you can in certain ways sympathize with what they're doing or why they're doing what they're doing. Even if what they're doing is something evil, you can, when you understand the character, their motivations, where they're coming from, you can understand at the very least why someone would want to do this or why someone would become like this. A truly good villain will be by the end doing their monologue, you'll be sitting there like, this character is more compelling than the protagonist now. Like, but that wasn't the case here at all. In this film, yeah, Kenneth Branagh's character, even after you, let me put it this way, even after you understand every single thing about Kenneth Branagh's character, you still cannot really empathize with him at all. It's still extremely difficult to sympathize with him. At certain times, he becomes so over the top villainous and evil that it's just like, you have absolutely no empathy for this character. You see no reason why this character should be doing what they're doing, and you just can't wait till the character is finally fucking dead, basically. And I mean, if that was what they were going for with this movie, then I guess they succeeded. I mean, I'm personally more a fan of the type of villain where you kind of understand where they're coming from. And I don't really think you do with this character. I think this character's motivations, even after you fully understand them, just don't really make sense and kind of have like it's just too nihilistic, too like, I don't even know how to explain it, like an adolescent mindset, which doesn't really make sense when the character is like 50 years old and is supposed to be like some very intelligent, cunning character. It just, in my opinion, it just did, his character did not really work. Definitely the weakest point of the film Tenet was Kenneth Branagh's character. Kenneth Branagh does a great job playing this character. It's just the character itself is not a compelling antagonist, really. He's an easy antagonist to hate. But I like it when the villain makes you think for a minute that maybe in some way they might be right. I don't think Kenneth Branagh's character was right about anything. So, in my opinion, Kenneth Branagh's character is like a catalyst for the whole film to happen. Without this antagonist, there can't be a conflict for the protagonist to arrive. Let's put it like that. Because John David Washington's character is just called the protagonist. And guys, let me just put this out there. John David Washington, Denzel 2.0 has arrived, guys. And yeah, holy shit, this guy's career path needs to fucking skyrocket. Because judging from this film, man, John David Washington could end up more legendary than Dad, is what I'm getting out of this film, because John David Washington has a level of like athleticism and intensity that he brings to this character that is just so memorable. Like, even though you have absolutely none of his backstory, you empathize with the protagonist so much more than, say, Kenneth Branagh's character, or I think almost any character in this film. I feel like you empathize the most with the protagonist. You spend almost all the entire film from his perspective. It's yeah, his character, man. I mean, people will say that the only reason he was cast for this character is because of Hollywood nepotism, because he's Denzel's son. Those who don't know, JDW, John David Washington, is Denzel Washington's son. People will say he was only cast for that reason, and I can see where they're coming from, but after watching this film, I'm like, nah, man. Like, this guy was cast because he can fucking play the character, man. This guy was cast because he's bringing something to this role, and it works, man. His character totally works, man. I am now, like, I'm now a fan of John David Washington. This guy, I cannot wait to see where this guy's career goes, man. Like, honestly, like, the guy's like Tom Cruise or some shit, man. Like, he has an athleticism and ability to do his own stunts, and he is a former pro athlete, and it really shows here. He can just run, he can fight, man. Man, he can fight. There's an intensity to this character, and just I don't know. My biggest draw to go see the movie again is to see John David Washington again. I think he just, it's just so compelling to watch. It just, I think, besides obviously the incredible direction of Christopher Nolan, his cinematographers and his practical effect technicians, besides those people who did their thing that came out looking up in making this film look incredible. I think the next best strength of the film is John David Washington's protagonist and Robert Pattinson's character Neil as well. Both of them, like, man, and this is the thing with Tenet. This is a film that is designed in such a way that when you watch this film the second time, it's almost like it's going to seem like an entirely different film. Essentially, it's going to seem like an entirely different film. And, oh my god, I'm so excited now to watch this movie again because everything's going to look so different the second time around. Even having read spoilers going into this movie, it just. This is truly a cinematic experience. This is fucking Kino, guys. You can't understand this just from reading a synopsis. You need to see it, and you need to see it like multiple times to really get all the interlocking pieces. Everything makes sense within the framework of this film, within the rules they created. It's just, it's sometimes, not even sometimes, it just is kind of difficult to get it all at once. Like, maybe you'll understand the big, broad strokes, but then you watch it a few more times, you'll start to understand the smaller, finer details. Oh, that's who that person was, and that's why this had to happen like this, because the entropy was reversed, and then when they're going forwards in time, they can do that. Like, man, there were, like, people drawing diagrams of, like, time to show, like, time is moving forward this way and backwards this way, and this character is here, but then the inverted version of this character is, it's just... Oh man, what a ride, man. What a ride, guys. Holy smokes. What a goddamn ride. I, I'm I'm excited to see this movie again, man. I'm excited for the second time around, man, and I'm excited for an eventual release of the film on like 4K Blu-ray. So, I mean, at this point, guys, I'm like rolling with, even though I'm a digital games only kind of guy, I'm rolling with getting a PS5 just for like physical movies, man. Like, if in the 2020s decade we're gonna start getting like friggin' movies like fucking Tenet, if this is setting the tone for the next decade of films, I think the film industry, once we recover from this fucking pandemic and shit, man, like, I don't know, man. I feel like the film industry is going to be fucking awesome. I don't know where Christopher Nolan goes from here. I think Christopher Nolan can just hang up the fucking camera right now. I think he can just say he's done, and everyone will respect his decision. They'll be like, yeah, you did it, Chris. You did it, Mr. Nolan. You fucking mind fucked everybody like 10, 20 fucking times, both going forwards and backwards. So I think you're allowed to do whatever the fuck you want now, Mr. Nolan. Oh, man. I all I can say is this film was a 10 out of 10, man. Like that's all I can say, man. You must watch this film. Everyone needs to watch this film. Everyone's going to be discussing Tenet for like the next 20, 30 years, man. This is an event film. This is a once in a lifetime type of film, man. Like, this is going to be, we're never going to stop talking about Tenet. Anyways, I'm Mike Muhammad. Thank you for watching my spoiler-free review of Tenet, and maybe I'll have a spoiler discussion a little later. Thanks for watching. Take care, guys.